dedicate all my experiences to them, and therefore I've chosen this topic, which will of course reflect my personal experiences, but it would largely be a kind of telling a story of how to bring about this excellence in the women all around us. So let me start at the individual level. Remember, whatever change you want to see out there has first to come from here. It has to come from inside. There's that cliche that be the change you want to see, but actually it has a lot of deep meaning. Every woman has to first believe in herself, self-belief, and then only the world is going to see you in that perspective which you want the world to see yourself as. Never forget the power of one, and that one person is you. All the power is within you. Just look inside and witness that power, and you will be a leader in your own space. Take time to figure out your personal and professional goals. And once you've understood your calling, give your best. Give your best to it, even if there are people who will try to pull you down, put you in some other place. You have to stand your ground, because it is always beneficial to be your authentic self. You are a unique blueprint of the Creator. There is nobody like you. Only thing is, you have to realize it. You have to keep building your capacity. You have to enjoy your journey as much as your destination. And believe me, this is a celebration which you can do 24/7 till the last day of your life. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate your womanhood. Many a times what happens that when we have men all around us, we try to become like them. Don't do that. I come from the police background. Many people tell me that it's worse to have women in the police because they start behaving like the men around them. I said, okay, that is the victim psychology. That is what they're trying to do. They're trying to gel with the environment. The idea is not to gel with the environment. The idea is to stand out in the environment. Be you. Nobody else can be like you. They may be similar, but they cannot be identical. And that's where leadership is. You bring out the uniqueness in yourself, and then you carry people along with you. So that is leadership for you. One other thing which constantly churns inside me is we women are so good at nurturing. That is something which our brains are wired for. So why don't we support our soul sisters who are undergoing a difficult phase in their lives? Why don't we build a circle of compassion, a circle of support around them? Many a times we have women who are battling domestic violence. At other times it may be that she's facing sexual harassment at the workspace, in her workplace. Why can't we just do a little bit of hand-holding till such time as she finds her ground? Many a times, it may just mean lending your ear to that woman, to that victim, to that survivor. Unfortunately, in our society, there are all kinds of psychosocial and cultural barriers against women. There is the naming and shaming and blaming of victims. She goes to a police station, and the response of the officer over there is, what did you do to bring on this problem onto yourself? Now, what sort of a question is this? And then there is that culture, a conspiracy of silence. We teach our own daughters, everything will be fine, sab theek ho jayega, chup raho. Well, when does it ever get better by keeping quiet? So why can't we as women become the leaders, drive the change, at least to trust that woman who is talking of a problem? Just do this and see what change it can bring around. We talk of big ticket changes. These are all the small bangs. Why to talk of a big bang? Talk of these small bangs which can bring about so much of change in others' lives and into your life. And I think that is what a leader does. Changing lives, changing situations, changing circumstances. That is the role of a leader. And trust me, we as women can lead this change. We can become the best of leaders in the world. And always remember, we as women have nothing to lose if we bring in the power of numbers. You must have heard about the incident at Nike and that movement with that hashtag #MeToo. See the power of change which we have inside us. Unfortunately, we do not stand behind and beside another woman who is struggling. And this is what I want to emphasize today. A true leader is one who can lift people who are in trouble. And as women, we can do that job very well because our brains are wired to help, to nurture, to create. So let us change our lives by embarking on this path. Then I will come to the level of family. I was talking of an individual. But yes, before I do that, since I was talking of building a support around someone who is struggling, do not forget to develop your own support system too. Many women go on a guilt trip. No, there's no need for it. Why should you feel guilty if you are taking support from somebody? If you are taking help from somebody? There should not be any ego or any guilt trip. And there's one other thing which I would love to share and I would emphasize sharing with you. Do have good role models and mentors. That is something which our generation missed out. It was a vacuum which I felt all along in my service career. More often than not, right from the beginning of the training days, I was the only woman officer in the 1984 batch. Right from then, and through my entire career, more often than not, I was the only woman in the room. And believe me, it's very difficult, especially in a male-dominated profession. It's not easy. So have good mentors and good role models. Your generation, I think, many young ladies out here, you are lucky in that sense. You can have good women role models. We missed out totally on that. So now I come back to the family level. Well, I believe, like charity, even gender equality begins at home. Most of the good things begin at home, and so does gender equality, because we live in a society which is highly gender skewed against the woman, against the girl child. Now, so what do we do about it? Well, the first thing is, and many of you would be mothers out here, do not distinguish between your girl child and the male child. Do not ever give the message to your daughter that you cannot do this or your brother can do that. Never ever do that. You must nurture leadership and capacity building in your girls when it comes to education, health, whatever. As mothers, and herein comes the leadership quality of women. As mothers, we can raise girls, and you must raise strong girls. Girls who can stand their ground when some injustice is being done. Not only to her, but to other girls around her. And they will grow up into leaders, into women who can stand their ground. And again, lend a support system to any soul sister who is in trouble at any point of time. Similarly, we have to take a lead also in nurturing a culture which talks about and gives respect to the concept of consent and preference. The concept of consent of a woman is totally missing from our society. So we need to nurture that culture, and as leaders, as women leaders, we can do that. At the same time, mothers and parents have to bring up their boys right. We are paying too much attention on our girls, but we are forgetting a generation of boys who have to be told that things have changed. We are unnecessarily, and I hope I'm proved wrong, I feel we are putting unnecessary emotional baggage onto the heads of our boys by giving them false messages of machoism, giving them the wrong messages of gender stereotyped roles. It is not helping them. What we need to do is we need to empower our boys too, so that they also grow up into responsible, sensitive, and emotionally balanced men. We are kind of dehumanizing our boys, and then we are wondering later on why men are violent towards the women. What else will they be if we do not give them the opportunity to express their emotions? कितने घरों में माएं पूछती हैं बेटे से कि बेटा आज कैसा फील कर रहे हो? It is always तुम्हें इतने कैसे मार्क्स मिले, तुम्हारे फ्रेंड को कैसे ज्यादा मिल गया, हमारे घर में इतनी गाड़ी होनी चाहिए, इतने pairs of shoes होने चाहिए, इतने कपड़े होने चाहिए. Who's responsible for that? That boy. He has to earn that. No, don't give them those roles, because the world has changed. You have to tell them that if the girls, the women around him in his life are going to work, sometimes he will also have to cook. So cooking is a skill. It's a skill set which boys should learn. We are not teaching them. वो कई हम ads भी देखते हैं, अरे शर्मा जी क्या कर रहे हो, अपने बेटे को किचन में डाले हो, बिटिया सामान ला रही है. No, these are wrong messages which we are giving, and which is putting a lot of burden on our boys. So that is something which we need to take care of as mothers, and in which we can play the role of a leader. Okay, so now these are changes which I'm sure if we start putting into place little by little, they're going to change the environment which we are living in today. Now I move on to the community and society level. I'm just talking of the tiers in which these leadership roles women can play. Now, whenever I come from a law enforcement background, so I have observed whenever there is a gender-based crime in society, I see two kinds of responses. One, a whole barrage of irresponsible statements coming from people in responsible positions. At times, the cause of the crime is the length of the skirt of the girl. At other times, it is her staying out late in the night. Even other times, it becomes boys will be boys. Now I think it's high time we stop giving these silly excuses for crimes against women and girls, and each of us realize that we are a stakeholder in this society and that we have a role to play, and we better get down to the nitty-gritties of playing that role. Another response which I find is a flurry of activities on the social media, candle marches, show-off placards. Well, it's good. By all means do it, because it has its own value. It brings the collective consciousness to the fore. But as change leaders, as change makers, do not stop at that. Do not stop at tokenism. Preserve your angst and your desperation and do the small things which we were just talking of. So as women, could we please start that change? Could we become the leaders in this kind of a changed environment which we are all struggling to find in our own lives? Because I feel our generation has the responsibility of leaving behind a world which is safe for our daughters and their daughters, and which they would be proud to talk of, and not inherit a society which is a society of loss. It's an inheritance of loss. So we have to take the first step, and as women, we can very well do it. The only thing is, we need to come together and build the enabling environment, the enabling world which we all dream of and which we all think the other person will come and do it. किसी और ग्रह से कोई आके, कोई फरिश्ता आके नहीं करेगा. This is our earth, this is our earth time, and we better use it well. Now I will go to the last level, because I feel there are a lot of speakers after me. And this is the organizational and the policy levels. We all look up to the organizations and the government in particular and want them to do something. Of course, I just outlined all the things that we could do as an individual, as a society, or as a community. Now, whether it is the corporates or the government sector, it is time to start a new dialogue, a new narrative of gender-sensitive governance. It is time to move the needle from elementary base-level talk and fast-track the process of actually advancing women. Now, we have you as an economist out here. Now, this is not just out of altruism, it is also out of pragmatism. Because all researchers are now pointing out towards the fact, be it the ILO study, or the World Bank study, or the McKinsey report, they point out towards the fact that if there is gender parity at workplace, $28 trillion worth of GDP can go up in the world. And number two, there's another pointer, that organizations which have women at the head experience a rise in profits, including equity and multidimensional benefits. So now what are we doing? Why are we holding back this potential of women, their leadership potential, their work potential? It's definitely a huge opportunity cost which we are paying by not recognizing the potential of women and not providing them the opportunity, that ambience to do their best, to put forth their best. So now this brings me to the question, what can the corporates do? First, I'm concentrating on the corporates, and then I'll move to the government, because before I finally wind up. So it brings us to the question as to what strategies, what business tools, what gender equalizing measures which they can take in order to accomplish the UN SDG number 5, which talks of 50-50 by 2030. So what are the things which they could do? Well, since I come from a law enforcement background, for me, the foremost thing they can do is give a safe and secure workspace to the woman who's coming to that place to work. This may include the implementation of what they call the POSH in letter and spirit. It will also mean bringing in more women into the boardroom, and we have a SEBI directive here. That's the regulatory body which says that there should be one woman director on every board. So that could mean bringing more women in the boardroom. It could also mean bridging the pay gap. It could also mean a gender neutral promotion policy, and it could also mean fostering a culture of child care, facilities for the returning moms, because women have an important role to play, and that needs to be recognized. Also, they have to invest also into the capacity building of their women employees so that they can perform at their best, their optimum best, which would obviously benefit the organization they are working for. Now, finally, coming to the government sector. Having worked for over 3 decades in the government service, in the government sector, I feel physical safety of the woman is the most important thing she is looking towards. What will she do if she is not safe either at home or in the workspace? बाकी की चीजें तो बाद में आएंगी. Physical safety नहीं रहेगा, and that physical safety starts right from the womb. Feticide, जन्म ले लिया तो infanticide, और आगे चले. I don't want to recall, we all know it. The idea is to focus on the solutions and what each one of us can do to kind of build an environment for her to flourish. Physical safety therefore becomes a critical infrastructure. Many corporates and many government organizations do not understand that, but coming from the police background, I can understand what a woman is first of all looking at for her existence. That's her existence. So we need to build up a justice delivery system which is sensitive, which is caring, which is victim-centric, and which is speedy. Trials go on and on. Of course, there are reasons that there are fewer courts, the judges are very busy, but we have to find a way out and the solutions are all there. We just have to have the will to implement them. We are so patchy on implementation. The easiest response is to make the law harsher. Harsh तो करते रहो लेकिन implement कोई नहीं करेगा ढंग से. A law is as good as the implementer or its implementation. We have a plethora of wonderful laws, but we need good implementers who feel for the victim, who understand the pain, who can empathize with the victims coming in front of them. Additionally, of course, there would be the policies of gender budgeting and gender mainstreaming. So I would like to stop here because, as I said, there are other speakers too. But I would like to leave you with just one thought before I wind up. All these measures which I have outlined above have to be simultaneous and not sequential or incremental. Acha, aaj isko kar lete hain, kal usko kar denge. No. That whole bunch of reforms or whole bunch of change in thought processes, change in mindset has to happen simultaneously. This is important in order to generate that critical mass or that synergy which can make us come out of the situation in which we feel ourselves to be trapped and we feel so helpless about it. Only when we do this can we have a continuous stream of women leaders who are also influencers, because leaders also influence, they transform, they are transformative, who can become influencers no matter where they are placed, no matter where they go. Every individual who is contributing towards the creation of this enabling environment for the other half of humanity is a leader in his or her own right. This is the power of leadership in action, the power to make a difference in the lives of people around you. So arise, awake, and realize this potential called you. Thank you so much.